It's a question many seem to be asking now. Can the Democrats actually take back not only the House, but the Senate? Hey, everybody, I'm Chad Hasty, host of the Chad Hasty Show, which airs weekday mornings 8:30 to 11 a.m. Central Time on News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 a.m. KFYO. There's a pretty good analysis piece at the Washington Post. The headline, Can Democrats Take the Senate? A top operative talks about the brutally tough path. And it's written by Greg Sargent at the Washington Post, and he writes, right now it looks as if Democratic incumbents in places like Ohio, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin are likely to survive. The polling averages for the four of them show. Here's the rub, writes Sargent. Democrats must keep all those seats and also net 2 Republican seats on top of that, most likely in Nevada and Arizona, which are very close. If one of those 4 Democratic incumbents lose, Democrats must flip 3 Republican seats, which is actually very hard to do. The writer at the Washington Post said he spoke with J.B. Porsche, president of the Senate Majority PAC, the biggest super PAC spending to elect Democrats in the U.S. Senate. One of the races they talk about is actually in the state of Tennessee, and that Tennessee has to be, or should be, a must-win for Democrats if they're going to gain a majority in the U.S. Senate. And Sergeant Wright, it goes back to the math problem once again. If a Democratic incumbent loses in one of those 4 states, Democrats have to flip Tennessee in addition to Arizona and Nevada in order to win the Senate. The only alternative is running the table in all 6 of those states other than Tennessee. So Tennessee, he writes, is probably crucial. When I asked Porsche about this, he said that's a way to get the majority without Tennessee, but it's a high priority. And then they ask about the race here in the great state of Texas between Beto O'Rourke and Senator Ted Cruz. Program note, by the way, U.S. Senator Ted Cruz will join me on the show Friday at 10:05 a.m. That's U.S. Senator Ted Cruz will join me on September 14th, Friday morning at 10:05 Central Time. You can listen online at KFYO.com with the KFYO app. If you're in West Texas, you can listen, of course, over the air. And when asked about the state of Texas, here's what this big leader of the Super PAC said. Yeah, we're looking at it. We'll see what happens. Sergeant writes from the Washington Post, when I bring up Texas, where Beto O'Rourke is mounting a surprisingly strong challenge to Ted Cruz, when I asked Porsche if his group would invest in the race, he said only, quote, we're looking at it closely. We're reserving the right to help, though he did describe O'Rourke as the best Democratic statewide candidate in Texas in the last 25 years, and I would probably agree with that. O'Rourke is a good candidate. He is a good politician. He has ran a surprisingly good race so far, and I expect that he'll continue to run a surprisingly, or I guess a good race as this campaign continues into November. I do think Ted Cruz will up his campaign. You will see more from the Cruz campaign. And I don't think that the Democrats will take back the Senate. I think that Republicans will maybe even gain a seat in the U.S. Senate. I don't believe Republicans will lose the Senate. I believe they could lose the House, but I don't see the Senate going their way. If Democrats do take the Senate and do take the House, you bet one of their first things that they're going to do, impeach President Donald Trump. Tune in to the Chad Hasty Show weekday mornings, 8:30 to 11 a.m. Central Time on News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 a.m. KFYO.